Okay, guys, so here we go. And we keep going on the left angle cross of prevention. My friend, not my friend anymore, but anyway, somebody I knew, John of God here in Brazil, major child trafficker, I don't know, Satanist, voodoo priest. He's the cross of prevention, and everybody thought he was a healer. He was doing healing at a healing center, but yeah, in the meantime, he was trafficking children. Anyway, so it can be fun, this prevention. Huh? Yeah, I'm doing this, but on the other side, I'm doing that. Okay. So, no discrimination. Everything can be fine. I'm just joking here. Okay. I'm just a funny guy. So, hold on with that. Okay, there we go. Left angle cross of prevention. The 5-1. You really get to see the importance of this polarity, the 17-18, when you get into the left angle cross of prevention. The only way you can save people is often by explaining to them that the kind of behavior that is self destructive, that is the kind of behavior that can really hurt them. The other thing is that because we are designed as not self to be emerged in the homogenized environment, that this left angle cross of prevention is the ultimate heretical position for a fifth line. This is the fifth line of the 10, the heretic. Overt challenging two norms. And the challenge is rooted in the 17 and the 18 in this cross. There's an enormous power to challenge the norms, and it's an ability to succeed in doing so through understanding and expression of higher principles. It's able to see that they may get punished for all that. Challenging norms is a dangerous business. It's always dangerous. There's not a heretic that brings a challenge to norms that is not threatened in one way or another eventually. I always feel sorry for these 5-1s coming up with that heresy. There's a great comfort in behavioral norms. You can see how confusing it is by the first time you go to the foreign country and you don't understand the behavior. I can remember my very first week in Ibiza and then suddenly being very distracted by what appeared to be the voices that were very angry, loud, and yelling at each other, only to realize it was normal. Joder, how the Spanish speak. It's so funny. I got you. It was just a loud place with people who deal with each other that way. And until you understand the behavioral norms, it's often very uncomfortable. You misread it. The thing is that we're conditioned into these behavioral norms and in the terms of the individual. After all, the 10th gate is an individual gate. In terms of the individual, it's like, it's not for me. I see that's the norm out there, but that's not for me. And that's not for you either. It says it's in the transpersonal capacity. So what we get to see on the left angle cross of prevention is the ability to prevent people from being trapped in the conditioned form and to try to help them out of that, which is what heresy is all about. Heresy is always about breaking the mold. It's always about changing the rules. It's changing the perception. It's changing the way to see. Are you nine-centered yet? Are you living as a nine-centered being yet? But the criteria here is that you cannot be a heretic unless you're operating out of higher principles. Whether the higher principles, you have no protection. In other words, just to tell somebody that their behavioral mode doesn't have to copy everybody else is not enough unless what you're telling them is in a way in which they can find the truer quality out of their life through changed behavior. Both the 5-1 and the 5-2, because of the changing conditions of our times, particularly about the virtual conditioning, you're going to find that there are more 5-2 heretics on the web right now than there's been 5-1 heretics running around screaming on the planet live in color. In other words, there's less risk. Every 5 knows the price they pay if they're wrong. Every 5 knows the price they pay if they do fulfill somebody else's expectation. How quickly they're ready to cut you down to, to size. So when you're dealing with a heretic, you have to see that you're going to be able to draw people away from the behavioral norm. You better be operating on very, very fine principle. Now, most of the cases is just seduction, and in the seduction that they end up being punished. It's very difficult to understand the left angle cross of prevention through the 10th gate. In other words, if you're looking at this cross, you can really see it because it's the 10th job to question behavior. It isn't. It's not the 10th job to question behavior. Sorry, it isn't. But the 17-18 questions everything. And so what you get out of this fifth line heretic is that this never can accept the norms of being an absolute and correct. And this is an understanding of all fifth line beings. A 5-line being will never trust what's the norm, never. It can't trust the norm. Why? It's why they're so suspicious, because they know that when you have a behavior form, that all the true behavior is hidden. You never really get to see the true behavior because everybody's acting the same. It's like going into a Japanese office building. All behavior is identical. It's a heresy to behave differently. Everybody's under pressure. And you see that it's not just in their society. Obviously, you see this in every society on the planet. So when the five looks at that and looks at this conditioned normal behavior, they're immediately upset. They're tense after all, they're individuals. It makes them feel very sad that everybody's caught in the same old, same old, same old, same old. There's a sidebar to this. And the sidebar is that in my investigations of homosexuality, over many, many years of looking at both male and female homosexuals, clients of mine, groups that I worked with in the early years when I was working in Germany, it was very common for them to have a 10-5. It showed up more often than it should have. And by the way, this was always in a combination with things. The most common configuration was a 10-5 with an open emotional system. Right away, when you get to see somebody who is in the normal sense of pleasure and pain, in the normal sense of sexuality, they were either abused or they were made terribly uncomfortable. Interesting. And out of that potential, of love of the 10, they develop a heretical approach to love. So yeah, a lot of people with this 10-5, they can have this heresy against love, and I don't want to be like this, and I don't want to be like this, and I want to be the opposite, and I want to do something else. Interesting. Let me know how it works for you. And a great many of them that I know had perfected form with the 10-5. And it's interesting for me. I never experiment with bisexuality. I was always very deeply heterosexual. Yet at the same time, throughout my life, I've had gay friends, and throughout my life, I've had, particularly when I was younger, I was often propositioned by gay men, and it never bothered me. I said no, but it never bothered me, which was always curious for me. Yeah, I had the same story, guys. I'm also very hetero, and I never had this thing. And I came into situation, of course, as a DJ and sexual orgies and all that stuff. Just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Oh, what? Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, always a big attraction there. But I have no problems with it. My biggest friends are gay friends, and it's so funny. They're just the funniest people ever. So I don't have any problem with them, especially if you're from Holland, especially if you're from Amsterdam, or especially if you've been through the ecstasy times. There was so much fun and so much love going on there. Oh my God, look at this now. It's anyway. As a matter of fact, we're still not done here. I enjoyed it with the same vanity that you enjoy somebody of the opposite sex saying they're attracted to you. It was very easy to me. Now, that's very much my five tuning into this frequency where normal behavior is conditioned behavior. The modes of normal behavior are conditioned. And so is the heritage also possibility for living differently kinds of love, finding a different kind of perfected form, a different way of achieving a relationship with others. That's just something interesting to keep in mind. So, yeah. They want to be something different, different kind of perfected form, achieving a different relationship. Okay, we go to the 5-2, guys. The 5-2 heretic on this cross of prevention is without giving the changes of his age, you would never really see them at work. They would never put themselves in a position where they would be destroyed. The paranoia over the consequences of defined normal behavior is something that their unconscious body is not interested in, even though their personality is screaming to it. So the moment you're dealing with the two underneath, again, this resistance, particularly when you're dealing with the heresy, this is the Buddha that gets beaten up because they refuse to prevent you from entering into an unproductive behavioral structure. They just won't help you. They won't show you the way. And as I said, I think this age is really going to benefit the 2-5s and 5-2. I think they're going to find their voice this way. So yeah, maybe prevent people like that as a heretic hermit from your own little house and your own little place. This is something that could be working. Good luck with that.